Have you ever thought, maybe I should rewrite the law books, and become emperor? Well, that's exactly what Napoleon Bonaparte did, except with more armies and fewer reality TV cameras. In 1800, he set up a sleek, centralized state administration by appointing prefects to oversee each department, sub-prefects in the districts and mayors in towns, laying the groundwork for a disciplined new government hierarchy. He didn't stop at bureaucracy. In 1804, Napoleon rolled out the Napoleonic Code, the first unified set of civil laws in France. It replaced patchwork regional customs with a clear, modern legal system, embedding principles like legal equality, property rights, religious tolerance, and the end of feudal privileges. Beyond paperwork, he reformed education by founding the Imperial University and introducing the baccalaureate, creating a steady stream of trained bureaucrats and officials who would run the system. So, here's the truth. Napoleon's power didn't just come from cannons, it came from well-oiled administration, fair-sounding laws, and smart investments in education. That's ruling an empire the Napoleonic way. Imagine France in 1799, like a house party gone wrong. The party, aka the French Revolution, ended badly. The hosts, the monarchy and aristocrats, were overthrown, the party got chaotic, and finally the five-person directory, like awkward party organizers, couldn't keep control. France was politically unstable, economically shaky, and tired of fighting wars on every front. Into this mess walks Napoleon Bonaparte, a decorated military general who people saw as a hero, especially after his campaigns in Italy and Egypt. His return to power felt like an exhausted crowd begging the DJ to play something familiar. In November 1799, Napoleon teamed up with some key political figures, Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, Talleyrand, Roger Ducos, and launched a coup d'état, a sudden takeover. They pushed aside the failing directory and replaced it with a new system, the consulate. Napoleon became first consul, giving him almost all the real power he was, like the party's DJ who also controlled the speakers and song choices. Three major players were in this story. Napoleon Bonaparte, the ambitious general who grabbed control, Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, a director who helped plan the coup but was quickly outmaneuvered by Napoleon, the directory, the fading old guard that lost power in the chaos. That was the setup. A fractured France, a desperate political landscape, and a bold general stepping in and taking charge. After the revolution, France was a bit like a messy dorm, everybody talking, no rules, and no one deciding who cleans or who gets the remote. Napoleon walked into this and said, let's sort it out for real. One of his first moves in February 1800 was to redraw the map and install a clear hierarchy: departments, arrondissements, districts, and communes, towns. In each he appointed prefects, sub-prefects, and mayors, all picked by him instead of elected by the locals. This turned chaos into machine-like efficiency. Orders flowed top-down, taxes and conscripts flowed back up. Think of the prefects as little emperors. They ran each department like mini CEO offices reporting to Paris. Mayors in small communes were even chosen by the prefect. Napoleon's logic was simple: don't trust democratic noise, trust a clear chain of command. The turning point wasn't a battle, it was bureaucracy. Napoleon didn't just win wars, he built a system that could govern. Thierry Lentz states he aimed to make administration the backbone of the state, building a strict professional hierarchy to cement unity and effectiveness. In practice, prefects managed everything local: taxes, public sentiment, law enforcement. Meanwhile, sub-prefects ensured even smaller districts followed suit. It wasn't just about authority, it was about consistency. Across war-torn France, one policy, one chain of command, one message. Next came law. By 1804, France had the Napoleonic Code, a unified civil code that replaced a jumble of regional customs. Written simply, it guaranteed property rights, equality before the law, religious freedom, and end of feudalism principles. It removed secret laws and judges couldn't make up rules on the spot. France became governed not by whispers and tradition, but by clear, published law. This code wasn't just for France, it became a model for Europe. Everywhere his armies marched, they saw the same law: modern, fairer, understandable. Napoleon wasn't just conquering with cannons, he was conquering with clarity. Napoleon believed an empire runs on brains, not only brawn. In 1802 he created lycées, secondary schools, under tight government control, not church-run. Schools followed centralized curricula, taught Latin, math, science, and even moral philosophy, and ended with the baccalaureate exam. This trained a reliable administrative class. By 1808, he founded the Imperial University, which coordinated all higher education exams and teacher training. It standardized education like a factory producing efficient administrators, engineers, and officers. Under the Revolution, religion pitted neighbors against each other. Napoleon reversed that in 1801 with the Concordat. He granted freedom of Catholic worship, but kept control. He appointed bishops and made clergy state-paid, ensuring both peace and loyalty. He didn't re-establish the church as power center, but made it subservient to the state enough to calm the public and maintain control. France needed stability. So Napoleon created the Bank of France in 1800 to stabilize and regulate the currency, backed by gold and silver. He also started using centralized financial systems to collect taxes more efficiently and reduce corruption. On the policing side, he moved against dissent, closing down newspapers, limiting publications, and forming a secret police. He offered amnesty to exiled royalists, bringing them back under watchful eyes. Opening scene, France, December 1799. Ghosts of the revolution everywhere. Napoleon walks into power as first consul and says, "Time to order this mess." Act 1, commissioning prefects in 1800, launching the departmental control system. Act 2, in 1802, schools transform, lycées spring up, students march in uniform, teachers follow state lessons, the baccalaureate, the new graduation cap. Act 3, in 1801, Napoleon shakes hands with the Pope, Concordat, turns churches back on, but as stage props in his political theatre. Add a slapstick gag. Imagine a prefect in a silly hat overwhelmed by endless paperwork until he realizes this paperwork is my power.
Napoleon, the organizer. Sure, I won most battles, but what matters? Who delivers taxes on time?
Prefects, the little emperors. I swear, General, I only serve one emperor, Napoleon, but I do get to pick the mayor in that tiny village.
Students in lycées. We used to wander fields picking berries. Now we memorize Latin declensions and dream of civil service.
By 1804, Napoleon crowned himself emperor. France now had law enforced by the Napoleonic Code, education standardized by lycées and university, police and financial systems humming, religion calm under Concordat control. It was less about conquering lands and more about conquering chaos. His empire stood on infrastructure, not just infantry. With each department under a prefect, each school pumping out bureaucrats, and law and church under state control, France ran like a clock. Napoleon didn't just rule with power, he ruled with process. Napoleon's administrative system outlived him. Even after his defeat in 1815, the prefect system, the Napoleonic Code, and the lycée education model stayed in place not just in France, but across much of Europe. Countries like Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, and parts of Germany kept his legal code because it was clearer and more practical than what they had before. The Bank of France continued to stabilize the economy, and the Concordat's approach to religion freedom of worship under state supervision influenced later governments. The idea of a centralized merit-based bureaucracy became a model for modern states. Ironically, Napoleon's military conquests collapsed, but his paperwork conquered Europe. His administrative machine was so efficient that even his enemies kept it. Historians note that the legal and educational reforms did more to shape modern Europe than any battlefield victory. In short, Napoleon lost his empire but kept his legacy in the laws, schools, and government offices that still follow patterns he set over 200 years ago. Napoleon's genius wasn't just on the battlefield, it was in the quiet power of structure. Prefects, codes, schools, banks, these were his real fortresses. 2 centuries later, much of Europe still works inside the framework he built. That's ruling an empire not just with armies, but with administration. So next time you think of Napoleon, remember, crowns can fall, borders can change, but a good filing system can last forever. If you found this breakdown of Napoleon's real governing tactics eye-opening, hit subscribe to Infinitia Verity for more history told plainly, fact-checked, and with a dash of wit. Share this with a friend who still thinks history is just battles and dates, because as Napoleon proved, empires run on ideas, not just victories.